Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something a lot of us think about, the unspoken rules of dating and relationships.
Definitely a popular topic.
We're going to go beyond, the typical advice and look at things from, an evolutionary psychology point of view,
Yeah.
see what really makes relationships work.
Right.
You know those messages we get about the right way to have a relationship?
Uh-huh.
We're going to question those today.
Okay, you game.
I'm gaming. Let's do it.
Okay, so we're basically challenging those assumptions.
Yeah.
Really looking at what drives us to want love, commitment, all that stuff.
Uh-huh. A lot of it comes down to what's called, I think some people call it the male conundrum.
The man conundrum.
Yeah, it's this idea that guys feel kind of stuck when it comes to relationships.
Stuck between.
Kind of like, a rock and a hard place.
Okay, so what are the rocks and hard places here?
Think of it like three paths you could go down.
And none of them are perfect.
Yeah.
One path is like committed and repressed,
Okay.
where you follow the traditional relationship script.
Right. They're supposed to.
Yeah, but you end up maybe suppressing your natural instincts.
Huh.
And that can lead to frustration or even resentment.
Over time.
Yeah, yeah. Then there's the committed, unfaithful, and dishonest route,
Oh, boy.
where you're seeking fulfillment in a committed relationship,
Right.
but also engaging in infidelity.
Right.
Obviously leads to a life of deceit
Right.
and usually not real happiness.
Makes sense. So path 3.
Path 3 is the free, uncommitted, and lonely path.
Okay.
Prioritize freedom, avoid commitment.
It sounds good on the surface.
Maybe at first, but then you end up feeling isolated.
So no good options.
Not really, no. Each one has its own downsides.
So where does this pressure to be committed, monogamous, all that even come from?
Well, it's a question people have been asking forever, right? Anthropologists,
Yeah.
sociologists, even psychologists.
Makes sense.
But one way to think about it is like a monogamy moral directive.
A monogamy moral directive.
Yeah, like this invisible force pushing us toward monogamy, even if we don't realize it.
Like subconsciously.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so break that down.
Well, religions played a big role, often linking monogamy with, being morally good.
Huh.
Historically, it was also practical. Before modern medicine,
Right.
STDs were a real threat.
Yeah.
Promoting monogamy kept people healthier, society more stable.
I can see that.
Makes sense, right?
So religion kind of pushed monogamy to protect people and the whole community.
Exactly.
But it wasn't just religion.
Oh, no. Women have also been big proponents of monogamy.
Okay.
Biologically, it makes sense. They invest a lot in reproduction.
Yeah.
How raising children.
Sure.
So naturally, they look for partners who are going to stick around.
Provide.
Yeah, provide resources, be faithful.
Stability for their kids.
Exactly.
So this biological drive is also kind of backed up by culture?
Yeah, cultural narratives. Yeah. Societal expectations that say monogamy is ideal.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got governments who also, see monogamy as contributing to stability.
Right. Family units, social order,
Exactly.
economic productivity, the whole 9 yards.
Makes the machine work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like religion, biology, society, all kind of pushing for monogamy, but is that like the whole story?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, monogamy isn't the only model that's existed.
Right.
Lots of cultures have had different forms of polygamy,
Uh-huh.
often reflecting the power dynamics of their time.
Putting an example.
Well, look at the Inca Empire.
Okay.
They had a strict hierarchy.
Uh-huh.
Your social standing determined how many wives you could have.
So the higher up you were.
More wives.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Facing.
There's this story about the Inca Sun King
Okay.
and the rules around, his harem.
Okay.
If some guy messed with one of the Sun King's women,
Oh.
the consequences were, really bad. Not just for the guy, his whole family, his village,
Bro.
even their llamas.
Really?
Yeah, they'd all face penalties.
Intense.
Talk about high stakes, right?
So obviously relationships were structured way differently back then. But if monogamy's not the only griot model, why is it so dominant today?
Well, that's where evolutionary psychology comes in.
Okay.
You got to remember, we're descended from people who, reproduce successfully.
Makes sense.
And often that reproduction happened in non-monogamous systems.
Right.
It's deep in our biology,
Yeah.
the drive to pass on our genes.
So even though we're told monogamy is natural,
It might not be the whole picture.
so how do we make sense of that?
Well, maybe it's not about conforming to just one model.
Okay.
Maybe it's more about understanding what's really going on.
The dynamics.
Yeah, and then making choices that, fit your own values and goals.
Being self-aware. Choosing what works for you
Exactly.
instead of just doing what you're supposed to.
Exactly.
Like that.
Whether you choose committed or non-committed relationships, there are ways to navigate them successfully.
Strategies, right? Let's get into those. What about non-committed relationships first? What are some insights there?
One big thing is what's called silent approval.
Silent approval.
Even in casual relationships, women have expectations.
Boundaries.
Yeah, they pay attention to what you do, not just what you say.
So even if you haven't, defined the relationship, your behavior matters?
Right. Like managing how often you contact each other is huge.
Makes sense.
If you're not looking for commitment, keep it to twice a week, max.
So you're not leading them on.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they might get the wrong idea.
Right. And it's not about playing games. It's about being respectful.
Of their time.
Yeah, and their emotional space.
Makes sense. So besides managing contact, what else should guys keep in mind?
It helps to cultivate kind of an air of mystery.
Oh, the mysterious busy guy thing.
Yeah, like you've got a full life.
Yeah.
You're not just waiting around for a girlfriend.
Makes you more attractive.
Right, because it shows you're not desperate.
You're not going to cling to them.
Exactly.
Says you're independent.
Exactly. It's about balance. You're open to connection, but you're not defined by it.
You have your own thing going on.
Exactly. And women find that attractive.
So it's about being comfortable with yourself, having a life you enjoy regardless.
Exactly.
What else is important?
Honesty is crucial, but you also got to respect her self-respect.
Okay.
So you don't have to reveal every detail,
Right.
but be truthful in a way that doesn't make her feel bad.
Okay. So honesty, A&D, discretion. How do you do that?
You can drop subtle hints.
I like what?
Say she asked about your weekend. You could mention having multiple contacts with the same name.
Implying you're dating other people without saying it outright.
Exactly.
Clever. What about those define the relationship talks?
Oh boy. Those can be tough.
Any advice?
Use humor. Redirect the conversation.
So don't let yourself get pinned down.
Right. If she's pushing for a label, acknowledge it playfully, but shift the tone.
Keep it light.
Exactly.
But couldn't that backfire?
Maybe, if you're dismissive. But the key is to be playful, not condescending.
So it's a delicate balance. Humor, honesty.
You got it. It takes practice, self-awareness, but you can do it.
Sounds like a lot to consider with non-committed relationships.
It is, but you can make those connections fulfilling and respectful.
Awesome. But what about those who want a committed, monogamous relationship? How does that fit in?
Well, a lot of these principles still apply.
Okay.
Getting boyfriend status often comes down to consistency and keeping that attraction alive.
So even after you're in a committed relationship, the work's not over.
Not at all. It's about keeping those qualities she was drawn to in the first place.
Confidence, ambition.
Right, sense of humor, a zest for life, all that.
So how do you keep that spark going?
Well, it's about remembering attraction isn't a one-time thing.
You got to keep earning it.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
not about pretending to be someone you're not.
Right.
It's about growing as a person.
So don't get complacent just because you're in a relationship.
Exactly. Keep learning, pursuing your passions, challenging yourself.
That keeps you interesting.
Exactly. And it keeps you attractive to your partner.
So you're both growing together.
Yeah, like that saying, couples who slay together stay together.
Maybe hit the gym together or something.
Exactly. Do new things, travel, just shake things up a bit.
Keeps the relationship dynamic.
Exactly. Prevents it from becoming stale.
Makes sense.
And it goes back to that compliance ladder.
Oh, right.
You're both investing in the relationship, moving up the ladder together.
So even in a committed relationship, that alpha edge is still important.
Absolutely. Women are attracted to strength.
Physical and mental.
Right. So keep challenging yourself, stay fit, learn new skills, be a leader.
That enhances your attractiveness.
Exactly. But remember, what's attractive is subjective.
Right.
It's about finding someone who appreciates you for you.
That's a great reminder. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. It's about compatibility, shared values.
Authenticity is key.
Absolutely. Trying to be someone you're not is a recipe for disaster.
Couldn't agree more. This has been really insightful so far.
Glad to hear it.
We've covered a lot of ground, from those early stages of dating to building lasting attraction and how to maintain intimacy in a committed relationship. But we're not done yet.
Nope.
Join us in part 2 as we delve deeper into the dynamics of committed relationships.
Right.
Look at strategies for keeping that spark alive and navigating the inevitable challenges that come up over time.
Should be interesting.
We'll be right back.
Sounds good. You know, it's funny how that compliance ladder idea applies to more than just relationships.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, like think about negotiating,
Okay,
business deals, even friendships.
interesting.
There's always this unspoken back and forth, give and take.
I never thought of it that way, but
Yeah.
how does knowing that help us in committed relationships?
Well, it helps you be more deliberate about how you handle those dynamics.
Yeah.
You know, getting into a committed relationship isn't like the end goal.
It's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's the start of a whole new
So
chapter.
how do you keep things exciting?
Right. And how do you prevent those attractive qualities from, like, fading once you are in a committed relationship?
I mean, you worked hard to get there, right?
Yeah, it's about remembering that attraction is a process, not a fixed state.
Okay.
Those things that initially attracted her to you.
Confidence, drive, humor.
Yeah, you got to keep cultivating them.
So you're always kind of re-earning her attraction.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not about being someone you're not.
Right.
It's about being true to yourself.
And growing.
Exactly.
So don't get lazy just because you're in a relationship.
Exactly. Keep pursuing your passions, challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone. That's what keeps you interesting.
To yourself and to your partner.
Right. It's that constant evolution that keeps things exciting.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, it's like keep growing as individuals and as a couple.
It's like that saying, couples that slay together stay together.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah.
Be at the gym together, learn a new language as a couple.
Right. Shared activities.
Exactly. It creates a bond, reminds you why you're attracted to each other.
Keeps things dynamic.
And guess what? It also ties back to that compliance ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're both investing in each other, moving up the ladder together.
So even in a committed relationship, keeping that alpha edge is important.
Absolutely. Women are attracted to strength.
Physical and dental.
Exactly. So keep pushing yourself.
Okay.
Stay in shape, learn new skills, be a leader.
Makes you more attractive.
But remember, attraction is subjective. What one woman finds attractive, another might not.
True.
It's about finding someone who appreciates you for who you are.
Absolutely. It's about compatibility, sharing values.
Exactly. And being genuine. Authenticity is key.
Trying to be someone you're not just won't work in the long run.
No, it won't.
So this idea of the number game some guys talk about.
Yeah, the idea that you got to approach a ton of women to find success.
Is that legit or just a recipe for burnout?
It's a tricky one. On the one hand, it pushes you to be proactive.
Get out there.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of rejection.
Which is important.
But the focus shouldn't be just on quantity.
Right. It's got to be quality, too.
Exactly. Otherwise, you just end up feeling frustrated.
Discouraged.
Yeah, it's about finding a balance.
Putting yourself out there, but also being selective.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about racking up numbers.
No, it's about being strategic,
Yeah.
intentional.
But how do you know when to walk away?
When it's clear she's not interested.
Yeah.
You got to read those social cues.
Body language, tone of voice.
Yeah, if she seems closed off, dismissive.
Just move on.
Exactly. There's no point in forcing it.
Don't waste your time.
Exactly. Your time and energy are precious.
So trust your instincts.
Yes.
But what about when a woman is playing hard to get?
The age-old question. It's tough to tell sometimes.
How do you know the difference?
Well, you're not a mind reader.
Right.
And even if you were, you shouldn't have to be.
So don't overthink it.
Right. Trust your gut. If her behavior is confusing, inconsistent.
Move on.
Exactly. There are plenty of women out there who will be straightforward.
And enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't chase after mixed signals.
Right. Focus on those who are genuinely interested.
Makes sense.
And remember, the goal isn't just to get a date or a relationship.
It's about finding the right person.
Exactly. Someone who's compatible with you. Someone who makes your life better.
That's a good point. It's about quality, not quantity. Speaking of quality, what are some things men can do to be more appealing to women?
Well, women are attracted to a combination of things. Physical and non-physical.
Okay.
Looks do matter, but they're not everything.
It's what's on the inside that counts.
Right. Confidence, humor, intelligence, a strong sense of self. Those are all important.
Personality goes a long way.
Absolutely. Be comfortable in your own skin, make her laugh, engage her mind.
So how do you actually show those qualities?
Work on your social skills.
Okay.
Be a good conversationalist. Listen attentively. Show genuine interest in her.
So it's not just about talking about yourself.
No, it's about making her feel seen and heard.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those awkward silences? How do you keep the conversation flowing, especially on a first date?
Well, it helps to have some topics in mind. Things you're genuinely interested in.
Okay.
Current events, hobbies, travel experiences. anything like that.
So you have some conversation starters ready.
Exactly. But also, silences aren't always bad.
Sometimes it's nice just to enjoy the quiet.
Exactly. You don't have to fill every second with chatter. Just let the conversation flow naturally.
Makes sense. So dating shouldn't feel like a job interview.
No, it should be fun.
Get to know each other, see if there's a spark.
Exactly.
What if you just don't have anything in common?
It happens.
You force the conversation.
Not really. It's okay to acknowledge the lack of connection and move on.
Be honest.
Right. Forcing a connection won't help anyone.
So be true to yourself.
And to her.
And sometimes you might be surprised.
You never know where you'll find a connection.
Okay, so be open-minded.
Exactly.
What about things men do that turn women off F? Common mistakes.
Being too needy is a big one.
Oh, yeah. Clingy.
Constantly seeking validation, texting nonstop.
Trying too hard to please.
Exactly. It's a turnoff.
So maintain your independence.
Right. Don't smother her.
What about grand romantic gestures? Aren't those good?
They can be, but they can also backfire
How so?
if they feel insincere or manipulative.
So read the situation. Be genuine.
Exactly.
Okay, makes sense. What about in those early stages? How do you escalate things physically without being too aggressive?
It should always be gradual and consensual.
Okay.
Pay attention to her body language.
Her cues.
If she seems receptive, leans in, reciprocates.
It's a good sign.
But if you're ever unsure, just ask.
So be respectful. Don't make assumptions.
Exactly. Consent is crucial.
And it's ongoing.
Right. Not a one-time thing.
But what if she's sending mixed signals?
Communication is key. If you're not sure, just ask.
Be direct.
Express your interest clearly and respectfully. Give her space to respond.
So be upfront.
It's better to have an awkward conversation than to make assumptions and hurt someone's feelings.
Good advice. Communication is so important. Okay, let's talk about building lasting attraction. How do you keep a woman interested long term?
It's about nurturing those qualities that attracted her in the first place.
Stay fit, pursue your passions, keep growing.
Exactly. Don't get complacent.
And remember, relationships take effort from both people.
Absolutely.
So how do you put in that effort?
Spontaneity is key.
Okay.
Surprise her, plan unique dates, do something outside your comfort zone together.
Keep things interesting.
Exactly. Novelty keeps the relationship exciting.
What about those everyday moments?
It's the little things that matter.
Like what?
Express appreciation, listen attentively,
Yeah.
help out without being asked.
Those small gestures go a long way.
And physical affection, of course.
Hugs, kisses, holding hands.
Yeah, it shows you care.
So make those small efforts even when life gets busy.
Exactly. Be present.
It's those little moments of connection that add up over time.
Exactly. They build a strong foundation.
I like that. This has been really enlightening. We've covered so much.
It's a lot to take in.
From those first dates to building lasting attraction.
Yeah, it's a journey.
But we're not done yet. Join us in part 3 of this deep dive as we explore the complexities of modern relationships even further.
We'll uncover more tips and challenge some of the conventional wisdom around love, dating, and commitment. Should be interesting.
See you then.
All right, welcome back to the final part of this deep dive. You know, we've been talking about attraction, commitment, all those dynamics in relationships, but there's this huge E thing we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah, kind of hard to ignore, isn't it?
Talking about social media, that's the one. It's everywhere.
And it's definitely changed how we see ourselves, how we interact, especially when it comes to dating. So how's it impacting our expectations and experiences, in real life?
It's a mixed bag. I mean, on the one hand, it's great for connecting with people. You can meet people from all over, reconnect with old friends, find communities with shared interests.
Yeah, it's great for expanding your social circle.
Totally. But the downside is it often shows a distorted reality. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the highlight reel. Perfect photos, witty captions. Everyone's life seems amazing.
It's like everyone's putting their best self out there. Makes it hard to feel good about yourself sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It can lead to insecurity, self-doubt, and unrealistic expectations, especially with dating and relationships. You might start comparing your relationship to those perfect couples on Instagram.
Or feel pressure to present this perfect image of yourself to attract someone.
Exactly.
So how do you navigate social media without letting it mess with your head?
Well, be mindful of how it makes you feel. If scrolling through those feeds makes you feel bad, maybe it's time to take a break.
Step back.
Yeah, ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this making me happy?
Good point.
And remember, what you see online rarely shows the whole picture. Everyone has their struggles, their bad days.
Social media kind of filters all that out.
It creates this illusion of perfection, which can be really harmful.
Like comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. So focus on building real connections offline. That's where you'll find authenticity.
So be present in the real world. Don't let those online images determine your worth.
Couldn't agree more.
But what about online dating specifically?
It's definitely become a popular way to meet people.
Any tips for navigating those apps?
Be strategic about it. Know what you want in a partner. Create a genuine profile. Be selective about who you connect with.
Not settle.
Right. And don't get discouraged if you don't find someone right away.
It takes time.
Exactly. It's a process. And remember, it's just one way to meet people.
Don't forget about the real world.
Exactly. Explore different avenues, be open to possibilities, but also trust your gut.
If something feels off, walk away.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's one more thing we got to talk about. It's a little awkward, but important.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Sex.
Yeah.
It's a big part of relationships, but we don't always talk about it openly.
It can be a tricky subject.
How do we approach it in a way that feels good and respectful for everyone involved?
Communication is key. Be open and honest about your desires, boundaries, expectations. Listen to your partner. Be willing to compromise.
So create a safe space to talk about it.
Exactly. And remember, intimacy is more than just the physical act.
It's about connection.
Emotional connection, trust, vulnerability.
It's about more than just the physical.
Right. It's about connecting on a deeper level.
But what if you have different desires or aren't compatible sexually?
Talk about it. If there are differences, approach the conversation with empathy. Try to understand where your partner is coming from.
And if you can't work it out on your own...
Don't be afraid to seek professional guidance.
Okay, so address the challenges, don't avoid them.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination,
Things change over time.
as you get to know each other better.
This has been an incredible conversation. We've covered so much about relationships.
A lot to think about, for sure.
We talked about everything from the basics of attraction to keeping the spark alive long term.
How to navigate the challenges that come up along the way.
So any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Remember, there's no one right way to do relationships. What matters is finding what works for you and your partner.
Create your own blueprint.
Exactly. Be honest with yourselves, communicate openly, and be willing to work together.
Relationships are a team effort.
Absolutely. They're a journey with ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
But with the right mindset, you can create something truly special.
Beautiful way to put it. So it all comes down to honesty, communication, respect, and growth. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of modern relationships.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you learned something and feel inspired to build connections that bring you joy and fulfillment. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep the conversation going.